Good day, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. We are super pleased to be joining you with another podcast, hotcast, whatever we want to call it, from Made for You. But these are the whispers and words of wisdom that we share through our own experiences and through the experiences of our members and the wider community. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important subjects related to what we do at Made for You, and that's about networking. And I have here my network, my smaller network. We have a wider network of other ladies who will join us in future podcasts. And I'd like to hand over to them to just introduce themselves real quickly, and then we'll dive into the topic. Paria, good day.
Good day, Samina June. Thank you so much. I'm used to call her Samina June, but
Yeah, just keep it that way. Yeah, it's
but
perfect.
Dr. Sam,
Yeah.
for our
No,
audience,
that's fine.
for those one that doesn't know what June means, is dear. She's very dear to my heart. So, Dr. Sam, lovely to have you with us all the way from London. And we are here together and starting this exciting journey of podcast, series of podcasts, as you said. And today we have two of our other co-founders with us, Samira and Anna. So they are here today, and we're gonna just start talking about the networking, why we are doing all of this, and etc. So I pass the mic to Anna.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us today and listening. I'm Anna. I'm Swedish. I've been living in Dubai for 9 years, and I'm so grateful and honored to be part of this power group of women and helping other women with our network and platform. So, and giving over to
That's
Samira.
fantastic. Thank you, Anna. Hi, Dr. Sam.
Hi, Samira June.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Dr. Sam. So, hi, everybody. My name is Samira. I'm a beauty entrepreneur. For me, it's usually talk about the beauty. And since I got to be part of the Made for You Global and one of the co-founders, I'm super thrilled to found such a beautiful network of superwomen in this group that we have. So, we're all going to talk about the networking today.
Yes.
Very exciting. And so within this topic of networking, it's very important for us to consider who we have in our network. And we're not just going to talk about it from a purely generic networking perspective, but really from a strategic networking perspective. We could have tons of people in our circles of influence, right? So if I asked you, ladies, how many people roughly do you have in your network? And those listening, I want you to do the same. If you had to count, if you could sit down and write down all the names of people you have in your network. Oh, Samira and Paria might have a little bit higher number, Anna, than you and I. But what's a number that we'd give?
For me is I create in my head.
Oh,
I
she's gonna
create
say now
circles.
quality is more important than quantity. Paria.
I'm trying to say I'm creating. I have circles. I have smaller circles all the way to the wider circle. In that small circle, is not actually many people there, and
Give me the wider network.
we start from the widest.
Yeah.
Yes. So the widest one, obviously, it's now because of the world is getting smaller and smaller because due to the connection and for us to be able to be connected globally. So the wide network, I would say, it's much bigger than even I know because of social media, because of the way we are connected. So I don't have a number for the widest one, but I'm happy and thrilled to know that there is so many people that I can reach out to, or they can reach me. But then the circles become smaller and smaller to the core. Yeah.
So for me is I can easily write down 60 to 70 names right now on top of my head that I can any minutes I can just call them, message them, and these are the people that I am kind of in touch at least once a month. So these 60, 70 people are I can tell they're not the closest core to me, but they're the people that as soon as you told me what is the number, I can say 60, 70 people.
Right, right. Anna, what about for you?
Yeah, I have about, my closest friends are maybe like 10, very, very close. And then I have, like you said, maybe I have 60 that I can quickly write and connect with if I wanted to. And in my wider circle with, maybe 200, but then that will be it, I think. But quickly, handful that I'm very, very close to.
How about you, Dr. Sam?
Yeah, I think I would say somewhere between around 80 or 90 and about 120, if I had to choose a number. But again, this is very different to friends, close friends, family members. I'd say the wider network. Now, as with everything that we do at Made for You, there is a very important scientific underpinning, empirical scientific. Unfortunately, you girls got stuck with an academic, and when you have an academic like me on your team, everything
Don't
has to
say
be
we are stuck.
data-based.
We have the
We love it.
privilege.
We love it, yes.
And boring numbers and statistics and things like that. So I'm going to refer to Professor Dunbar, who is from Oxford University. And he says, he's a psychologist and anthropologist. And what's interesting, he says that the cognitive limit to our number of stable relationships is about 150. And this is also known as the Dunbar number. So the 150 is what we can hold cognitively in our brains and comfortably stay attuned with. And as you can see, most of you are saying, even that's too much. I'd rather say that it's around 50 or 60 because that's what I can comfortably coordinate and keep a hold of. Now, I have a second question for you, as well as our listeners. I want you to think about, from this number of people that you've just referred to, in the last 6 months, how many people did you strategically reach out to and ask a question, ask for some support, ask about resources, ask about maybe what you could do for them? Which means this takes us away from just networking to thinking about this subject in a much more strategic manner. But the only way that we can start thinking this way is analyzing, how am I using my network at the moment and in the last 6 months? And what could I do to use it much more strategically?
Yeah, this is so correct
spot
way
on,
to look
yeah.
at and spot on. Yeah. For me recently, I had a surgery, and that was something for me that when I wanted to raise awareness about this on my social media, just because I think it was very important for people to know about it. And for me, I was so surprised to see people, friends, but people that you haven't even spoken in 1 year or 2 years, but you know them. I'm not just talking about people that are followers, but people that you actually know, but you kind of, because they are in other cities or countries, or your childhood friends and all of that. The amount of love and support that I received, and even received flowers from other countries coming, and people that I never thought that, like, on daily basis, we really don't talk. Yeah. We are talking about maybe once every year we even talk, or we just like each other's pictures and all of that, but we know. That was beautiful, to be honest with you. I really liked that. But that's what's coming back to your question. I think that's where, when something happens to you, or if you see someone is something that it's out of the ordinary everyday thing, when you reach out to them or they reach out to you, that's where you see actually who is there for you, and who and also this is two-way street, right? Yeah. So it's both ways. For sure. So for me, because recently I kind of felt that I felt the love, so I would say that I'm blessed. I would more than 100, more than 200 people were really, really closely giving me that love.
I mean, once you show vulnerability and you put yourself out there and open up, then that's opens up a book in another kind of way, and people like to reach out and help. I mean, most people like to help then, if they know how to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. So for me, Dr. Sam, this is something that I promised myself a couple of months ago, that every time I think of someone and that someone comes to my mind, just send a message and say, hey, hope you're well. This is something that I do to all my friends, my very, very close friend. Every sometimes I just send them like, I love you. I appreciate having you in my life. But with other people that they're not so close to me and I cannot send them such a message, I just send them a message that, hey, hope everything is well with you. I was thinking about you. So this is something that it made me a little bit more even closer to the people that I am not in touch with them on a daily basis, on everyday basis, but I do work with them time to time, or I am in touch with them time to time. So like, I don't want that all the women that they're around me to think of me as like, okay, if I need them, I am the one who's just gonna call them and contact them when I need them. But I do want to tell them that I do think of them as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I have been going off and on and being good at connecting with my closest friends, but lately I have made a big effort, and we've been setting up for the last couple of months. We've been doing weekly or monthly calls actually with my closest friends, and I've actually been setting them up, and we have had topics and talking about how to improve in certain ways, and that has been extremely helpful, I think, for me and for my friends, to having those scheduled calls actually in the calendar, so it doesn't just become this, hey, how are you, and we don't have time to talk, but actually setting aside time for connection. And especially when we live like this, my friends are not always close. They're in all different parts of the world, and then setting aside that time has been extremely helpful to me to feel connected and feel support.
Yeah, that's right. And what you have referred to is more, I would say, on a personal basis rather than a professional basis. I think that it's important for us to also talk about professional type examples, but those are differentiated into two parts. They're called our strong ties and our weak ties. And our strong ties are those people in your inner circle. They're the individuals that are closer to you and you have more of a connectivity with. The people who we have weak ties are, let's say, professional acquaintances within our wider circle. But what's interesting is that weak ties are actually the most critical for opportunities. It's often not our friends and family that help us get forward in life. It's the weaker ties that help us
Absolutely.
find jobs. I'd like to share an example that one of our people in our network, Jumana, when I was looking for my son for an internship, she I would consider her one of my strong ties because she's a friend, but also within our circle. But the combination of reaching out to her and saying, I'm looking for an internship with my son, and how she was just so exemplary and tried so hard to turn every stone that she could, all the resources that she had to try and make this internship happen. These are the outcomes that can be the result of us just being vulnerable, as Anna said, being transparent and saying, this is what I'm struggling with. And what's the most beautiful aspect of all this? Is that when we are vulnerable, we're actually teaching the people in our network to be more empathetic. If we're constantly being strong and constantly saying, I'm perfect, I have it all, everything is okay, I don't need help from anybody, we're actually robbing our network and the people around us from the opportunity for them to demonstrate empathy and compassion.
So true.
Yes.
Yeah.
For people to rise up, I mean, when Paria says to me, I need your help, for me, that's a moment of, I know that she doesn't generally ask for help. And so that means I have to then exercise my sort of collective empathetic and compassionate muscles to make sure I'm there in a deliberate way, right? For her or our wider network. And this is what I want you to remember. Women often let their biggest strengths become their biggest weakness. Just because you're strong and just because you can handle it and just because you're doing everything you need to do, listen, it takes a village, my sisters. So lean on us lean on us, lean on others, lean on those you trust, and give them that experience of empathy.
But Dr. Sam, don't you think it's because of what is happening in our society generally? I'm talking about globally. Because we have, again, we go back to the topic that we had last week as well. It's about, because we don't want to portray as weak, and because we have always been playing this catch-up role in every field, professionally, everything, that, she can't do it, she's not good enough, and all of those things. And that's as you said as well, this is such a big point that comes out of this. It just removes us from, we don't want to show our vulnerability, because we feel like if we do that, then again we will be judged.
Yeah.
So
But these are
finding the
assumptions.
balance on this, it's something that I think it's very difficult. Maybe we should focus on balancing this more, right? So what would be your thoughts? How can we do that in a better way?
Yeah, it is difficult, but we have to break from some of these old ways of being and old ways of thinking, right? And remember, this is very much an expatriate, immigrant mentality. The fact that I have worked very hard to be in this host country, host culture, and therefore I have to prove myself constantly to make sure that I am on par with everybody else, correct? This is very true, not only in terms of people from different cultural identities, but also true amongst genders. And I want to ask you this question. What is better, for us to be authentic and to demonstrate self-awareness and who we are, transparency and vulnerability, and achieve inclusivity by saying that because I'm authentic, because I have self-aware, these are my strengths, this is what I'm excellent at, this is what I'm great at, and I'm there, I can do it. But you're sending me on this project in which I have no knowledge about, I don't have the resources I need, and it's not because I'm a woman, and it's not because I'm not, from this country, but this is a resource issue. It's not a woman thing. It's not a cultural thing. It's a resource issue. But we let our other identities of gender and culture and age stand in the way of saying, dude, do you know what you're doing? Because that's really bad delegation, what you've just done right now. So we need to focus on the real issue by speaking up and being vulnerable, and not thinking we're going to be judged because we're not of a particular culture, age, or gender.
Yes,
and the thing is, I'm sitting here thinking now about the broader network that we have, and the smaller one that you were just talking about, Dr. Sam. And then in my mind, then I felt that it's almost easier to ask and open up for the broader network, for the one that are the 201 or 161.
Yes.
Except because when I ask for my closest friends, they take it so seriously that I have to, it's almost like it gets too much of an ask. But if I ask my 150th friend, it's just an ask. You can do it or not. But if I ask my closest, well, they almost feel obliged to do it. So I feel
that's a point.
it almost might be easier to ask. So I had to remember this. I have to ask, to ask.
Yeah,
you have to remember to ask, to be, and there's less personalization. There's less, we have a fantastic word in Farsi. Tabaqo, which is expectations in English, I suppose, and maybe what you're speaking to is the fact that my wider network may not be keeping a scorecard of checks and balances as much as, we feel perhaps our closer network. But,
or you don't want to bother them, maybe even. I feel like you don't want to bother them because they're, they...
I think that's more on your Scandinavian roots comes in.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. And I think it's because I know the feeling. Everything is so particular, and we don't want to be feeling by asking. It's they have to go above and beyond.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But it's not like that. So the mix of me, the part Scandinavian and the part.
That's why the mix is so good. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So Scandinavian counterparts, I'll share with you a quick story that happened yesterday. There, we had someone visiting from Sweden, and so you know how we are in terms of feeding them and offering them, and you have to eat this, and you have to. And at one point, he put his hand on top of the coffee and said, "I don't want any more. I do not
That's
refill
very typical.
my coffee. And when I want something from you, I will ask.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you are asking me so much, it's making me uncomfortable."
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because we feel like we have to finish it.
Yeah.
If you
Yes.
pour it, I have to finish it.
Yeah, it's this such a beautiful way to see cultures are so different.
Yeah.
And definitely, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I remember even when I was younger in Norway, and when I was inviting my friends over, my mom went above and beyond to like
Overfeeding
feed
them.
us and all of that. They were
There's a
like,
feast.
"Oh my god,
You know, there's a, yeah.
what is this?" And they were like, they felt like they had to eat a lot.
Yeah, all
and
of
they,
it,
they
yeah.
were all like extra full, and they had tummy aches sometimes. And all. I'm like, Mom, let's not do that. Let's not the culture of the Persian culture.
Yeah.
Let's not mix it
I've
up.
seen something really nice in an Arabic culture that when they finish their Arabic coffee, if they
Correct.
want to have the coffee, they shake the cup, and if they don't want it, they turn it upside down. So that means they
Yeah.
don't want it anymore.
don't think we
so
have it in
we don't have it in we don't have it in Persian culture.
Except Samir, the difference is I always used to forget and do the wrong thing. You know what? I'm like, what's going on? You know, what am I doing here? Oh, right. Well, I mean, that has been a really interesting discussion about networking and the different types of network that there are, and how we could, you know, take the time to step back and wonder how to use our network more strategically to bring people together, to build alliances, to collaborate and cooperate. And that's one of the main things that we do. So it was a pleasure being with you, Parya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam, for being with us. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Sam.
you.
with
Thank
us
you, Dr.
today.
Sam.
These short podcasts will be, we were making sure that we grab the best part and then show it to the world. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
See you next.
Thank you. See you
See you
next
next
time.
time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.